This video will show high school ANet coordinators and backups how to find the LEAP scores that will be needed to determine if students in grades 9 and 10, which students in grades 9 and 10 will take the ANet fluency assessment. So the first thing we want to do though is remind ourselves the implementation plan. And so remember, the ANet reading fluency is required for grades 4 through 10 for identified students. And as you can see in this little part here, the window is August 15th through September 30th. I'm going to scroll down to the next page, and these are the required students who will take the ANet fluency assessment based on the LEAP score. So remember, for grades 4 through 8, students who scored less than mastery, so students who have a LEAP score from the previous spring semester, so the previous year, basic, approaching basic, or unsat, so those students in grades 4 through 8 who have basic, approaching basic, or unsat will take the ANet reading fluency. For grades 9 and 10, those students in grades 9 and 10 who are classified as a 9th grade student or a 10th grade student, if they scored less than basic, so approaching basic or unsat on last semester's, last spring's LEAP test, and remember, we're only looking at ELA, don't look at math, don't look at science, don't look at social studies, only look at ELA. So those students in grades 9 and 10 who scored approaching basic or unsat, those students will take the ANet reading fluency. Now remember, 11th grade and 12th grade students are exempt from the screener. Now, if a student did not take the 2021-22 LEAP ELA test, then you can look to see how that student did on the ANet Interim 3 ELA assessment last year. So if the student scored 30% or less on Interim 3, ELA ANet assessment, 30% or less, then that student will take the ANet reading fluency. If both LEAP and ANet data are absent, then that student will take the ANet reading fluency. If you have an incoming 5th grade student or a 9th grade student who took the state mandated placement tests from August of this year to the beginning of October, so in this case September 30th, you can substitute the score of the state mandated placement test. You can substitute that in place of the missing LEAP score. Okay, so that is the requirements. So let's go back to JCampus. So when you log into JCampus, you're probably going to see something like this. I'm not sure, but this is what I always see. Now, to get to the area where you're going to need to look at the LEAP scores for your 9th grade students and 10th grade students, you want to go to the left panel right here. You see the left side of this panel. When you go to the left panel, you want to go to where you see grades. So right here, you see grades. I am then going to click on grades, and as I click on grades, it opens up more items under grades. What you want to go to now is the part that says list. So under grades, you're going to go to list. There's a plus sign right here, meaning that you can expand this. So I'm going to click on that plus sign, and notice it expanded. So I'm going to scroll down, and as you scroll down, it's going to populate some functions under list. The one that you are interested in, the one that will provide you with the prior LEAP score from the spring semester for the students in grades 9 and 10, is the function that's called Student Accountability Tracker. as I hover over Student Accountability Tracker, notice what it says. It says displays a list of students and their EOC, ACT, Plan, Explore, CLEP, and WorkKey scores. Now, although the word LEAP is not in there, it does include LEAP. So just keep in mind that the Student Accountability Tracker does provide you with the LEAP score. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Student Accountability Tracker. As I do that, it says Launch Student, and then you get this right away. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clear out all this information from the previous search. So let me X out of here and just backspace, and then grades. I think I can just backspace as well. So, oops, I guess I can't. So grades, I'm going to go ahead and remove 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and so I'm going to go ahead and X out, and oops, it still has it. So let me go ahead and do it again. I need to remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, and remove 8, and then I think I forgot to click on OK. So you must click on OK. All right, so now it's clear. So I'm going to go ahead and look at a particular school. So I'm going to go ahead and search for a school. And when I search for a school, I'm not sure if you see all of this. You may only see the school that you're assigned to, but I see all of the schools. So I'm going to go ahead and find a school. All right, so as I determine which school I want to use, remember I'm dealing with 9th and 10th grade, so I'm going to go ahead and choose high school. I'm going to put a check mark in this little value section here, this little box, and I'm going to click OK. And when I click OK, the school code will show up. Now I want to choose grades. So for grades, remember you're only dealing with grades 9 and 10. So you're just going to choose 9th grade students and 10th grade students. Okay. Now if your high school had some middle school grades associated with it, you could select those. So you can just select 6, 7, and 8. But this particular high school I chose only does not have grades 6, 7, and 8, so I'm going to remove that. And remember, for ANet Reading Fluency, for high school, it only goes up to grade 10. So then I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and notice the grades show up. Leave gender, ethnic, cohort, year, and pathway blank. All right, now you have to pick a test date from and test date to. So remember, the LEAP 2025 high school tests were given in April and May. And so what you want to do is let's go ahead and pick a window that encompasses those dates. So let's just pick March 1st, even though you didn't test high school in March. Let's go ahead and click on March 1st, 2022. And remember, you could have had students that took the initial test in the spring and retook it in the summer. So you want to look at those scores as well. So since you could have some students that took the LEAP test twice, or a subject twice, ELA twice, remember we only listed it ELA, so you could have a student that took ELA in the spring and then retook it did not pass it, and then retook it in the fall, in the summer. So you got to include those as well. So we're going to put the test date to be, let's say, August 1st. Just put August 1st, just to make sure those test dates are within this range. All right, so for high school, for test date from, choose March 1st, 2022. Test date to, choose August 1st, 2022. So that way, any student that took the ELA twice will be included in the spring and in the summer. Okay, leave all this other stuff blank. Now right here where you see LEAP EOC, you want to make sure that you include grades 3 through 8, because remember, your 9th grade students took 8th grade LEAP last year, so you need to include those test scores. And you need to include LEAP 2025. You need to include LEAP 2025 because you could have some ninth grade students that were ninth grade students last year. And you do have your 10th grade students as well that were ninth grade last year. And some 10th grade could be 10th grade last year, right? So you want to include those. But look, when I check it, you can only check one here, right? So let's just go ahead and do all. So click on all. Make sure it says all here. Okay. So all will encompass middle school test scores from that they took in the spring, which would be the 8th grade for your ninth grade students, and then the LEAP 2025 high school, which if they're a 10th grade student would be their ninth grade LEAP test, or it could also be the ninth grade LEAP test if they're ninth grade students and repeating, or 10th grade students and took uh, and are repeating as well. All right, so just include all. All right, now listen carefully. So right here, you have an option of clicking on use highest test score or use most recent, right? So I would go ahead and use highest test score. Use highest test score. So when you look at the data, when you see the data that's going to appear, it's going to give you the initial test that student took within that window, okay, which would be the spring, and um, and then it will give you the highest test score as well. Since we're clicking on this, it will give you the highest test score, and that highest test score will be any ELA LEAP test a student took in that window. So the student took the ELA test in the summer as well, and that's the highest. You want that to appear, okay? You want that to show up. All right, so let's go ahead and so we have the date from March 1st to August 1st. We clicked on all. Make sure if you're high school you do all. And then let's go ahead and use the highest test score. So that way if the student did better in the summer, then you could use that test score. And it is possible the student did better in the spring, right? Did worse in the summer. All right, so you could have that situation. All right, and then you click OK. So let's go and click OK. Now when I click OK, and it could take a while. All right, so this took about 45 seconds. So depending on how long, how many records you're including here, it could take a while for it to eventually show. All right, so you have lots of information here, lots of information. You have the student's name. You have, see the top row right here? You have the SASID. Remember, that's the LICIT. That's the state ID. You have the SIDNO. That's the local ID. That's the one that you're going to use on the Google form. You have the grade level, and notice that since I chose only 9 and 10, only 9 and 10 shows up. You have the gender, the ethnic code, the student email, homeroom, cohort here, FAFSA, 504, SPED information. Remember, Y means yes. Yes, they're 504. Yes, they're SPED. Now remember, SPED doesn't necessarily mean student with disabilities. Those could also be student with who are gifted. So any student that has SPED accommodations, whether student with disability or gifted, will be under the SPED column. You have the GPAs, you have graduation pathways, and so on, right? Okay, lots of information. Now, what I want to show you though is this. In this little area here, in this little area is where the LEAP scores will show up. Down here, you have a scroll bar right here. So as I move that scroll bar to the right, I want you to see this. As I move the scroll bar to the right, now keep in mind you're going to see EOC scores. So EOC scores, by the way, is the it's not the LEAP 2025. It's the old EOC, end of course test that some students, depending on when they entered high school, would would still be required to take. All right, but just keep scrolling, and there you go. So that's the one you want. Okay, that's the one you want. So notice that the test date here is listed as May 1st. That's the test date. Okay, and so you have how they did on algebra, and let me just move it over. Geometry, and you see up here it says initial. Geometry. The English one is what you're going to be interested in, right? So English one is what you're going to be interested in. English 2, English 3, and just keep on going. Then you have the highest leap score, right? You have the highest leap score. And keep on going. All right, now, remember, now you see LEAP 2025 grades 3 through 8, right? 3 through 8, because remember, and there's some scores here. So those are, for this student here that I'm going to highlight, those are the LEAP scores from the spring semester, the LEAP score, the 8th grade LEAP score from the spring semester. What you're interested in is ELA. You're not interested in math, you're not interested in science. All right, so just keep in mind that you have to scroll further if you're high school to get the middle school LEAP scores. Okay, so remember that says the initial. All right, just keep on going, and then you have the highest. All right, now just to let you know, elementary and middle school students, there is no retake in the summer. All right, there is no retake as high school students can retake the test in the summer. For middle and high, for elementary and middle, there is no retake. So you will notice at some point, you'll notice that for grades 3 through 8, the ELA score, initial, is going to be the same as ELA score for the highest. Okay, but for LEAP 2025, the high school courses, English 1, for example, see the highest. It is possible that the highs you see here may not be the same as the initial. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. All right, so high schools are going to be a little bit trickier to deal with than elementary or middle. Okay, so before we continue on with all this information here, there's a lot of stuff here that we don't need. So let me show you how to get rid of all of this information. All right, so I'm going to go and in either of these little categories here, I want you to see something. So I'm going to go, let's say, to this one here, and if I click on this drop down right here, you see this, right? And it doesn't matter which one you use. If you click on, oops, did not mean to do that, but it's okay. If you click on, let's do it again. All right. So if you click on this drop down right here, you see this. So you see the same thing. I'm interested in you looking at the columns part right here, the columns. So when you hover over the columns, then all of this shows up. Anything that's checked off is listed here. Okay? Anything that's checked off here is listed. So there's a lot of stuff you don't need, right? Okay, so for example, I don't need the school name. You know your school name, right? So you know your school name, so you're going to take that off. Now notice as you take things off, this the area here is going to move to the left. All right, so let's go back and remove some other stuff. Now you're going to need the student name, right? You're going to need the student name, so leave that checked off. I am going to uncheck it so that way I don't have to keep blurring some information. So I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck this, but you're going to need it. So I'm going to uncheck this, and as I uncheck this, notice that this area here is going to move to the left. All right, so let me go back over columns and then uncheck. All right, so you see it's moving to the left. You don't need the state ID, so remove that. You do need the local ID, so that's the SIDNO, so you're going to keep that. But for my purposes, I'm going to remove it so that I have to keep blurring information. You do need the grade, so you need to know whether this is a 9th grade student or a 10th grade student. So I'm going to keep it here. You don't need the gender. You don't need ethnic. You don't need student email. You don't need homeroom. You don't need cohort. You don't need FASA. You may want to keep 504 in SPED, so that way you can know whether that student is a 504 with accommodations or a SPED student. I'm going to go ahead and keep it. You don't need cumulative GPA. You don't need graduation pathway. You don't need past requirements. You don't need diploma endorsements. You don't need number of dual enrollment classes taken. You don't need honors courses, career path options, and so on. So I'm taking all this off. Okay. You don't need EOC information. See, what you're interested in, your students that are 9th and 10th are they took the LEAP test. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove EOC information. All right, and then EOC initial scores. And then, so scroll down. Then I'm going to take highest EOC scores away. All right, so take anything that says EOC off. All right, now scroll down. And this is where the LEAP stuff comes in. All right, keep the LEAP test date, so that way you'll see what date that test was given. So remember, when it was uploaded, it used the date May 1st. All right, so just go ahead and keep that. Let me scroll down. All right, you go ahead and keep the initial LEAP 2025 scores checked off, but you don't need Algebra 1. Take that off. You don't need Geometry. Take that off. You need English 1. It is possible you could have an English 2 score for that student, so check that off. Let's just keep English 3. I doubt you're going to have an English 3, but let's just keep it. You don't need biology. You don't need American history. All right. Scroll down. I'm not sure why they have American history listed here. But anyway, because it says LEAP 2025 scores. All right, just keep on going. It should say U.S. history, right? Okay, so it should say U.S. history, not American history. Okay, anyway, let's just keep going, right? Keep going. Highest LEAP 2025 scores. You don't need Algebra 1. You don't need Geometry. Let's keep English 1, English 2. I'm not sure why English 3 is appearing on the LEAP 2025 scores, because it's the old EOC, it's the students in the old EOC track that takes English 3, but let's just go ahead and keep it. You don't need biology. Again, I'm not sure why American history is listed here. It should be U.S. history. Keep on going. All right, now you're going to need the 3 through 8 test date, right? That's for the 8th grade students. I'm sorry, for the 8th grade test. So those are your 9th grade students that took the 8th grade test last year. Keep that. Keep the initial. You want ELA, so take math off, science off, social studies off. Keep the highest, but remember the middle school students, there is no retake for them in the summer for grades 6, 7, and 8. So the initial ELA score and the highest ELA score should be the same. But let's just go ahead and keep it. But you don't need math, you don't need science, you don't need social studies. And then you don't need anything else. So take everything else away. Take ACT away, work keys away, CLEP, AP, AP test score, AP exam name, community service hours, and total hours. Okay? So all you're left with is the information that you need. But remember, even though I have student name unchecked, you're going to have it checked because that's going to be needed, right? And you're going to need the local student code, the local student ID, so you need the SIDNO. So make sure that's checked. And that's it. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the white part here. So that way this will go away. And there we go. All right. Now, so everything here should help you to determine which students have to take the ANet fluency. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go to print right here. You're going to go to print. So you're going to put all this information into a spreadsheet. So go to print. We're going to click on print. So let's go ahead and click on print, and then this shows up. So you want to put this in a spreadsheet so you can filter. Okay, so don't put it in a PDF file. Go ahead and put it in a spreadsheet so you can filter. So click on XLS. All right, and keep it on landscape, keep it on letter, and then let's go ahead and click the word print. So when I click the word print, it's going to download it right here, and then when you click on it, it's going to open it up for you. So let me go ahead and open it up, or click on it. All right, and it's opening up, and nothing is there, right? So see, nothing's there, so let's go ahead and do it again. All right, so let's do it again. Print. Oh, that's because I have something highlighted. So it only printed what I had highlighted. So yeah, if you have something highlighted, it's only going to print what you have highlighted. So let me go ahead and fix this. All right, so let me tell you what I had to do. I did not know how to unhighlight a row, because if whatever's highlighted, that's what it's going to print. So I had to redo this over. So let me go ahead and take the time and delete all of the stuff I don't need, and then I'll start recording again. Okay, so I went ahead and I removed all the information I didn't need. Now no rows highlighted, so now let's go ahead and do print again. So I'm going to go and click on print, and when I click on print, it's going to bring this up. You want the spreadsheet, keep it on landscape, keep it on letter, and then let's go ahead and click on the word print. So when I click on the word print, it's going to download the spreadsheet here. Let's go and open it up, and now you get all the information. All right. So when you go through the process, try not to highlight a row. Don't highlight a row. If you highlight a row, then that's the only one that you're going to get in this print area here. All right, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so now what you want to do, well, let me just show you what you see here. So you're going to see the grade level of the student, the name. Remember, I took the name off. You're going to see the local ID as well. Notice the 504 column, the SPED column, the LEAP 2025 test date, May 1st, 2022. Their English 1 score. There's an English 2, so that's why you want to keep English 2. Okay, so let me explain something. So this right here, it doesn't tell you, but this right here is the initial, okay? Then scroll this way, so you'll see an English 1 and then an English 2. That's the highest. So that's the highest for that student. There's English 3. Let me just scroll down and see if there's an English 3. Yeah, there's no English 3. So again, I'm not sure why we have English 3 in LEAP 2025 when it's actually an EOC course. Okay, so then let's go to middle school. So we have grades 3 through 8. So remember, in testing last year, grades 3 through 8, they started testing in April. So you'll see in April 1st. Okay, and then ELA right here. That's the initial. You don't see the word initial, but that's the initial. And then that's the highest. I want you to notice that the initial and the highest are the same, right? Because the grade 8 students did not take grade 8 LEAP in the summer. It's only LEAP 2025 students, high school students, that could retake the test in the summer. All right. Now, so there's lots of information you need, right? So you're going to need the grade 8 from last year for the 9th grade students. And you're going to need, for the other students, let me scroll down, not scroll down, but go to the left. You're going to need the highest here. All right, so just click on the highest right here. Just click on the highest. You don't need the initial, just click on the highest. The highest is all you need right here. Okay. Notice there is an English 2 for this person. There is an English 2 for this person. So apparently this student right here was taking English 1 and English 2 as well. Okay. So just keep that in mind. This student took English 1 and English 2 test. All right, all right, so scroll down, and there's some more like that, right? See, this student took English 1 and English 2 LEAP test. This student took English 1, English 2 LEAP test. And notice the student's going to have to do based on the fact that you see the word unsatisfactory in both, that student's going to take the ANet reading fluency. All right, so let me show you what you're going to do now. Well, first of all, I'm just going to go ahead and delete. I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to delete the English 1 initial right here, because I'm going to keep the highs, right? So just go ahead and delete. So I'm going to go ahead and, well, maybe I may not want to do that, right? I'm not going to do that just in case I mess up something. I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Okay, but what you want to do though is you want to determine which students under highest right here, which students who took English 1 test last spring is going to have to take the reading fluency. So let's go ahead and filter this. So right here in this little triangle that you see here, you're going to hover over it, and then you're going to click on it. See the little plus sign? Click on that, and then it highlights this whole spreadsheet. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the word data right here. Click on the word data, and then you get this. Then you want to go to the word filter. Now, when I click on the filter, right at the end of each of those, the top row here where you see B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on, a drop-down menu will appear. So when I click on filter, you now see the drop-down menus, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this first. Let's go to let's do the 8th grade. So let's do the students that took the 8th grade test last year, and let's go to the highest. Even though the 8th grade and the initial 8th grade are the same. All right, let's just do the highest. So right here, see this little drop down? You're going to click on that, and then you get all this information here, right? You want to click on sort A to Z. So what sorting A to Z does is it takes all these numbers you see here and puts them in order going from smallest to largest. So let's go ahead and click on A through Z and scroll this way. And let's see where it went. Oh, okay, so it's right here, right? So watch, I'm going to show you something. This is it right here. So there's a lot of blank right here, right? A lot of blank right here. So let's just do this. I'll just show you something, how complicated this could be if you're not careful. This is where you start seeing the word unsatisfactory. All right, I want you to be careful here. Don't assume that these students here scroll down. Don't assume that those students here were 8th grade students last year who did not take the 8th grade test. Notice there's 461 names that are highlighted here. I want you to show you something, so I'm going to go and click this way, and notice that, see this right here? Oops. I want you to notice some of those are 10th grade students, so you got to be careful. All right. So yes, the 10th. So all these 10th grade students here, the 10th grade students did not take the LEAP test last year. All right. So what you may want to do, just to kind of make things a little bit easier on yourself, is possibly you may want to first of all only look at your, see right here, only look at 9th grade students for right now. Okay. Only look at 9th grade students. All you see now are just 9th grade students, right? That's all you see, just 9th grade students. And then let's go back. So notice some of these 9th grade students, this year took the English 1 LEAP test last year. So they were 9th grades last year. Some of these 9th grade students, were 8th grade students last year. See all this? So that's all 8th grade tests last year. So this right here, ELA. So high school, you have a challenge here in terms of trying to decipher all of this information, because it's not as easy as elementary and middle. 9th grade students could have been, your 9th grade students here could have been 8th grade last year, or they could have been 9th grade last year. So you have to figure out how to decipher all this information. All right. So right now, all I have are 9th grade. So what I want to do is let's just do this first. Let's go to ELA here, and I do have it sorted. Okay. So I'm going to highlight this just to show you something. So where you have to be careful. So you see some of these are blank, all of these are blank, right? But remember, some of those are 9th grade students that took the 9th grade, or that took English 1 last spring. So you have to make sure that you're not assuming that all these students here are all 9th grade students that took 8th grade last year, and they are missing the 8th grade score. All right, so just be careful how you do this. All right, so then what I would suggest is possibly this to make it somewhat manageable. So on the highest English 1 right here, instead of sorting from smallest to largest, let's go ahead and sort from largest to smallest, see if that could help. And see right here, it possibly could help, right? So these are all 9th grade students, right here. These are all 9th grade students who took the English 1 last year. So remember, for us, these students will take the ANet reading fluency if they had approaching basic or unsat. So right here, see all these students right here that I'm highlighting? Those students have approaching basic or unsat on this last spring's test, so they will have to take, these 9th grade students will have to take the reading fluency. Okay? Now, let's go this way. Let me go ahead and go back and, okay, let's go this way now. And right here, let's go ahead and do Z through A again. Now remember, this is 8th grade. So let's see which 9th grade students who were 8th grade last year will have to take the reading fluency. So let's do Z through A. And notice it goes from advanced down, right? So these students here do not, see, they're advanced, so they're not going to take the ANet reading fluency. So those 9th grade students will not take the ANet reading fluency. Here, your mastery, they will not take the ANet reading fluency. And here, your basic, they will not take the ANet reading fluency. So these are all 9th grade students who were 8th grade last year. All right, now right here though, see where it says approaching basic? So these students, these 9th grade students that had approaching basic on the 8th grade English test last year and on SAT last year. So those students right here, and there are 139 of them, so 139 of those students, those 9th grade students that took 8th grade tests last year, 8th grade ELA, are going to have to take the reading fluency. Now, there's some blanks, so let's kind of look at those blanks for a moment. See those blanks down here? So let me kind of move this over. All right, so I'm going to highlight those blanks right here. All right, so I'm highlighting those blanks, and I'm stopping here because of this right here. So let's see what this is. So it's a little bit tricky for high school. All right, so right here, this is your 9th grade students that took English 1 last year. So we've already taken care of this. Now right here, you see, you have some more 9th grade students, right? So these 9th grade students, all the way here, and it stops here. So these 9th grade students, for the most part, there is no scores. So then you're going to have to go to the ANet interim 3 from last year to see how they did. If they scored 30% or less, then they will take the ANet reading fluency. I want you to notice something, though. There was one score, there was one student that had something. If I can find it again, right here. So this student right here, which is on SAT, that's probably the one that took English 2. Yeah, so there was one 9th grade student this year that took English 2 test last spring, either in the spring or in the summer. All right, so this is probably a student that took the test in the summer. All right, but it's on SAT, so that student would take the reading fluency anyway, right? Okay, so that's your 9th grade. So then let's go back. So it's a little bit complicated for high school. So then let's go back and filter 10th grade. All right. Now notice there's some T9s here as well. So let's do the 10th grade. Let's do OK. So those are your 10th grades. And so notice right here. Let's do the highest again. Right here, we're going to do the highest. And I don't think, so remember, this is the grade 3 through 8. See, there's nothing there, right? Because those students, those 10th grade students did not take the 8th grade test last year. So for the 10th grade, then, it makes it a little bit easier. For 10th grade, you're just going to look at the highest right here. So let's go ahead and, since 10th grade is easier to deal with, let's sort A through Z. Let's go from smallest to largest. All right. What happened? Oh, here we go. So that was this column right here. So notice right here. So going from all of these students, let me make sure that's 10th grade yet. So all of these students right here. Remember, this is English 1, right? So all these students, there are no scores you see here. But keep in mind, they took English 2, right? So you got to look at the English 2 column as well, because there are some 10th grade students who are repeating, who had to repeat possibly English 2. So you have 10th grade students who did not take English 1 last year, but took English 2. So you have to look at those English 2. So don't assume that these are all students that you have to do the reading fluency with. Because notice that some of these had basic, a lot had on SAT or approaching basic. They will have to take it, but then you see some masteries as well, right? So just be a little bit careful. Don't assume that all these students that are missing a score here are going to have to do the reading fluency. So then let's kind of do this instead. So instead of doing from smallest to largest, let's do from largest to smallest. Okay, so these 10th grade students here, they have advanced. So they took English 1 tests in the spring. They're advanced. The students exempt, but notice um, they were unsat in English 2, so you do need to get that reading fluency. They were exempt from English 1, but they do need to take the reading fluency because they were unsat on that English 2 test. Okay, so these advanced 10th grade, these 10th grade students that took English 1 last spring, they got advanced, they do not take it. Mastery, they do not take it. Scroll down. Basic, they do not take the reading fluency, right? It's only those students that are right here, starting here, that are approaching basic and unsat. So for those students, for those 10th grade students that took English 1 last year, there are 130 of those that are going to have to do the ANet reading fluency. Okay? Now, obviously, there are some 10th grade students that took English 2 last year, so let's go ahead and filter that. So we can go ahead and filter from large to small, and notice that going here, right here, so advanced, mastery, and basic, those students, and there are not a lot, those students will not take the reading fluency. But these 10th grade students here that I'm highlighting, approaching basic and unsat, so those 10th grade students that took English 2 tests last year, and there are 27 of those, they're going to take the reading fluency. But remember, there are some blanks underneath, and those blanks is the fact that those 10th grade students took English 1 last year, and so that's where you see advanced, mastery. So don't assume that these students that are missing scores are going to have to take the reading fluency, because you'll notice that these missing scores have to do with the fact that those students took English 1 last year. All right, so just keep on going down. You see right here, keep going down, and I want to go to this point here. All right, so this is where it starts looking blank. All right, so let's go ahead and highlight that, move this over. All right, so all of these 10th grade students right here that I'm highlighting, let's see what the issue is. All right. Okay, so it looks like they don't have any test scores. See that? I'm going to scroll up and down. Oops, did not mean to do that. See, it looks like they don't have any test scores. So you're going to have to determine. So, and there are, let me go back up just to kind of show you what I'm doing. All right, so starting here and going all the way down to here, because that's the last, this is the last 10th grade that I see here, and there are 41 of those. So the ANet coordinated backup is going to have to determine some information about these 41 students. All right, so obviously there's no LEAP score for those 41 students that are 10th grade students. So then you have to determine their ANet score, the interim 3 from last spring. If it's 30% or less, they do the reading fluency. If there's no ANet score, and obviously there's no LEAP score, they're going to do the reading fluency. All right, and so it's a little bit complicated for the high school. There's a lot of maneuvering around the spreadsheet that could become complicated for you. So just do the best you can. Try and do the way that I showed you. So instead of going, for example, in middle school and elementary, it was easier to go from small to large. So we sorted from A to Z. For high school, it may be easier to sort Z to A. Also keep in mind, you may want to, first of all, look at 9th grade students first, then look at 10th grade, and don't forget, this school has T9 students, so let's look at these T9 students. So I'm going to T9 students. There aren't that many, so it looks like there's only 12 of those, and let's see. So they took the 8th grade test last year. So these 9, so the T9, we're going to use our criteria for 9th grade and 10th grade. So notice that these students here, notice this student does not have a score, so you have to determine whether they have to take the ANet reading fluency or not. But unsat and approaching basic. So these students here, see these two students here are not going to do the reading fluency, but these will. All right, so 10 of those T9 students are going to have to take the ANet reading fluency. So this particular school has quite a few students that are going to do the ANet reading fluency, and this is a high school. So the high schools, they're at least 700, 800 students in most of them. So they're going to have quite a bit of students doing the ANet reading fluency. All right, so high school is a little bit complicated in terms of determining which students are going to take the ANet reading fluency by just looking at the spreadsheet, how we had to maneuver around in the spreadsheet. All right, so if you have any other questions, I think I've covered everything. It was a lot for high school, but if you have any questions, you know you can always contact me, either by email or by phone. All right, so that will be the end of this video. Have a great evening, great day.